This is the first video in a series of videos that we put together and that we're putting together that's called Church Words. There's really two main purposes behind us doing these videos. One is to talk about a couple of terms that come with quite a bit of baggage. When we hear terms like church or Christian, everybody has certain things that come to mind. So we're going to talk about those things. And then the second is to talk about a couple of words that we really only hear within the realms or the confines of a church building, or when we're talking about church things. So we'll have a series of videos that discuss those things. But right now we're going to dive into this first discussion that we've got myself, Vern, Derek, Charles, Toby, and Dave, and we're going to talk about the word church. In this video we're going to unpack three main ways that we typically think of church. What do you think about when you hear the term church? What's the first go-to thought in your mind?
When I think of, or when I hear the word church, I automatically think of a building. So, like on Sundays or Wednesdays when we go to the church to worship, that's the first thing I think of.
Yeah, like on the other side of like church being a building, like church is like a body, a group of people that support each other and give each other love and teaching and encouragement.
Believers in the first century not necessarily saw it as needing walls to be a church. At least it looked like they met together in homes and they assembled there where it was more possible and feasible and reasonable for them, and they were considered the church there. They were the people of the church. So it seemed, at least it seemed like the New Testament, that it wasn't necessary for the church to be considered a building.
I think we've kind of deconstructed the word church from building. When I was little, the big emphasis was don't call the building a church, it's the people.
Right.
And now, you know, then we pledge our allegiance to church a lot of times. We talk about bringing people to church or going to church. And so church has become an institution. And I think that's part of what's happened over the last few years, where the institution of church has become so strong, where we feel like that's what we've got to support, that's what we've got to be, and you almost lose the idea of following Christ.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to think about the church as an institution, in a way, because I've never, growing up, I never thought about it as being like something that's owned by like a bigger power that's a human, that is, or a gathering of humans.
I think that might be one of the things that can be a generational conflict that I feel is present today. I think that's a lot of sentiment of younger people in the church is really yearning for that community. And then there's certain kind of like the institutional concepts of what it means, like loyalty, because you're loyal to an organization or an institution, in addition to being loyal to Christ. But then some of these things, like, so how do we measure what a good Christian is? Well, they should go to church. They should go to church when the doors are open. You know, that's kind of, so the building mentality, but coupled with the institutional mentality, so that if a younger person says, I don't feel like I really need to go to church every week, the older person will like tense up and have a little mini heart attack, because like, how could you be saying that? That's so wrong.
Initially, you see Christ himself say, upon this rock I build my church. So he's showing the church doesn't belong to any one particular person. It's Christ's church. It's his church.
When you think about the word church, what comes to mind for you? What has the church been, and what should the church be? So thanks for participating in this conversation with us.